With a critical Game 2 tonight in South Beach going on, the Knicks have to make some adjustments, and we're going to talk about those. You just watched Segment 1 on Game 1. Here's Segment 2 on Game 2. Joining me in studio again, Brian Geltzeiler from Hoops Critic. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Drew, let's get right into it. Carmelo Anthony, the Heat did a tremendous job of fronting him in what we like to call the office, right? The right block. They were helping, it seemed, with whoever was guarding Tyson Chandler in certain instances. What adjustments does Mike Woodson have to make now to make sure that Carmelo gets the ball where he's most comfortable so he can be effective, not only in making jump shots, but getting to the basket and creating foul opportunities?
Well, obviously the adjustments weren't made in-game. So now Woodson has a chance to do that in between games. You know, Eric Spoelstra could obviously counter with not fronting the post here, but it's besides the point. If Carmelo is going to be fed on the block and he's going to be fronted, you have to have someone flash to the high post to create a high-low opportunity. The Knicks didn't do that. Amari or Chandler did not do that at all. Whether it was coaching or whether it was just something that they could have adjusted to on the court, it wasn't done. You also want to do, when there's weak side help coming from the other block, you want to have a shooter in the opposite corner. And Melo has proven in the past that when he receives the ball and gets doubled, he makes a quick decision to get to the open shooter. The Knicks didn't have that either. Novak and Smith could do a tremendous job in that spot, just hands ready, be in the corner, and we'll see if they do it tonight. But there needs to be some sort of flashing to the high post, and then obviously a shooter in the weak side.
Several directions we can go here, and we talked about it right before we went on the air. Vinny Del Negro did a great job of basically capitalizing on the fact that Tony Allen is not a great offensive player and hiding Chris Paul and allowing Eric Bledsoe to really create plays for them and have a huge comeback last night. Whoever's guarding Tyson Chandler has to be a focal point here. Tyson Chandler, we know, in the pick and roll is a great role player. I think maybe just slip the ball to him in the post, maybe a jump hook here and there, just to get him going. But if you're Mike Woodson, how do you take advantage of the fact that whoever's guarding Chandler isn't really guarding Chandler?
Well, you have to make them guard Chandler, Tommy, and there's one way to do that, which is put Chandler in his best position possible, which is as a screener in a screen and roll, diving to the basket. If I'm Mike Woodson, I start that game. First, I start J.R. Smith in the game. I know he's planning on starting Fields. I wouldn't do that. I would start J.R. Smith in the game and have the ball in his hands a lot. I would run a lot of Smith-Chandler pick and rolls to start this game. Get Chandler diving to the basket. Maybe you pick up a couple easy baskets, but you make a statement very early on. We're going to make you guard Tyson Chandler. He's not going to be someone that's going to be easy you can just leave alone. And that way you open things up a little bit, because the fact that they were able to collapse on Melo, front him in the post that way, and slough off Chandler in the way that they did really damage the Knicks offensively. Look at the numbers, 67 points. 67 points is a very poor number for a playoff game, and they got to make some adjustments.
As is 10 free throws, and Drew, they have to play downhill. They've got to go towards the basket. If you're Mike Woodson, what adjustments do you make to make sure that your best players are getting opportunities moving towards the basket? We know how good Miami is laterally, and when Wade is defending the basket, which he does, as well as any guard probably I've ever seen, they are incredibly hard to score against, but you have to get the ball moving towards the basket. If you're Mike Woodson, how do you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, Brian brings up a great point, getting Smith and Chandler in pick and rolls, because the Heat are going to have their better defenders on Carmelo and Amari, so that also puts them at a disadvantage with different defenders guarding them. I'd like to see Melo in some pick and roll situations. I mean, obviously, a lot of it was just kind of holding and waiting for him to get open on the block. Let's see him with the ball. Let's see him run a pick and roll with Chandler or Amari. I'd also like to see a lot more handoffs with the guards, because the Heat are going to switch, force them to switch a lot on every possession, run the shot clock down. The other issue is that when you take quick shots against Miami and you're not making them, they're just going to get the rebound, get out in transition, and score quickly. They have to avoid that. Try to keep this game in the 80s, and that's the best opportunity for them to win.
Slow the pace down, but Brian, for me, it's why not use some opportunity here of an offensive-defensive situation, offense-defense. Maybe take Chandler out of the game, put Amari at the 5, Melo at the 4, and then, as Drew said before, try to put Novak maybe in that opposite corner, spread the floor out, give the guards like J.R. Smith an opportunity. I mean, J.R. he may be, and this isn't a stretch, he may be the best athlete on the entire floor, and that includes James and Wade. He's a ridiculous athlete. If you give him some space to create with screens, he's got to be able to take advantage of going to the basket.
Something you and I discussed off camera before we started was that more responsibility for Smith. with the Knicks with the ball in his hands. Makes him be a more responsible decision maker. So I think I'd have the ball in Smith's hands a heck of a lot tonight. You know, the thing is this. For the Knicks, you're going to have to do much better job at taking care of the basketball than they did. 24 turnovers is far too many. And Andrew talks about Miami in transition and slowing the pace. Those things need to happen. But if you turn it over 24 times, you don't have a chance to slow the game down. So taking care of the basketball is going to be big. And a game in the 80s is the right type of game for the Knicks. You need to walk that basketball up the floor because you're going to turn it over a heck of a lot more if you start to play Miami's game, which is up and down.
Unfortunately, with Smith, that's what you're going to bring into the equation is turnovers and bad shots and run-out opportunities. But what else do they have in the backcourt to think when you think about it? Brian, as always, enjoy Game 2, and look forward to talking next time.
My pleasure, Tom.
Andrew, enjoy Game 2.
I will, guys. Thanks.
And remember, to get all your information on the Knicks, check out the knicksblog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. Enjoy Game 2, everybody. We'll see you next time.